Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Fruitful Lindens, where I teach people how to design, save, and live. Welcome to baby step number 2 and the issues that I have with Dave Ramsey's baby step number 2 video. This one is a big one. And this is the one, honestly, that I have the most issues with. So I do want to just say that please forgive me if I'm looking down at my screen. I do have all of the information in front of me on my laptop, and that's because I don't want to forget anything. So if you see me looking down, I am just referencing the notes that I have written for myself. And I want to make sure that I hit all of these points because I think, I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I've been involved with the Dave Ramsey program for years, and I think it's really, really important to, look at things objectively and kind of assess your own take on what these things mean for your life, what these things mean for the average person, because the average person can't go out and just buy a new car in cash because we're not there yet. And Dave Ramsey knows that, and I just think he might be, I don't want him to come for me, but I think he might be a little out of touch of like what it's like to live in the real world where people have debt and they have to pay for things with credit cards. Do I think you should put everything on a credit card? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to be in debt anymore. And I think that this framework is a great starting point, but there are several issues that I have with this program. One of them being that it really seems like you can't move on to the next step until you've completed the second one, or the first one. But this is the second step, which I'll go ahead and read it to you, and I'll put it up on the screen here so you can see it. Baby step number 2, pay off all debt except the house using the debt snowball. Baby step number 2, next it's time to pay off the cars, the credit cards, and your student loans. Start by listing all of your debts except your mortgage. Put them in order by balance from smallest to largest, regardless of your interest rate. This is called the debt snowball method, and you'll knock out your debts one by one. So basically, over the years, what I've come to understand is that this is paying as much extra money as you can possibly muster on your smallest debt. Don't pay attention to the interest rate. Don't pay attention to how long you have to pay this debt. It doesn't matter. Whatever the smallest amount is, you find and you scrape and you search your couch for coins and you put that extra money towards that smallest debt until it's paid off. Now, most people have credit cards. They might have a credit card with $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. Whatever your smallest debt is, pay it off. Now, the problem with this for me personally is that I don't have a small debt. So my smallest debt right now is my car, and that's about $6,000. And if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that that is what I'm putting my money towards. So, ultimately, this is why I have a snowball sinking fund, so that when I do have extra money, occasionally here and there, I'll put it in that envelope. But if you've watched my most recent video, you'll see that I've started doubling down really hard on my car, and I'll be paying almost double this month on my car payment just to try and get that paid off as soon as possible. And so I'm going to stop putting cash in that envelope for Snowball, and I'm just going to start doing it digitally because I pay that bill online. Now, my issue with this baby step, this is going to take the longest out of all of the steps, especially if you have a lot of debt. If you don't have a lot of debt, I don't know why you're watching these videos, because really this whole program is about getting out of debt and living your best life. So, excuse me, my eye itched there. This is troublesome because there are 7 steps in this program, and this is step number 2. So, I'll go ahead and just read my notes that I have here word for word. I may be repeating myself. I think I already said this, but I have over $100,000 in student loan debt. The problem with baby step number 2 is that Dave Ramsey assumes my $1,000 theoretical emergency fund will cover me until my debt is paid off. $1,000 for approximately 8 years before I pay off all my debt. $1,000 is not going to last me 8 years. Just this week, I had to drop $120 on an almost emergency for the house. And you're telling me that this $1,000 is supposed to last me for 8 years? No. And that's why if you watched the baby step number 1 video, you would know that I recommend to continue to save while you're doing your snowball. So even if it's $20 a month, continue to put money in there, because not only will you need that money most likely, it just teaches good discipline. You know, if you had to cut things out to get that $1,000 and you're now used to spending less money, go ahead and put that extra $20 in your emergency fund. And then you don't have to worry quite as much, because if you don't have an emergency, great, you've got a savings account now. But if you do have an emergency, you're a little more prepared than having $1,000 that's supposed to last you for 8 years. Now, if you use part of your emergency fund, you are supposed to stop baby step number 2, go back and replenish your emergency fund, which is exactly what I did, except I didn't really have to pause anything because I didn't spend that much money. I just reallocated some funds and replenished it and got it taken care of. You know, and I love this example because it truly just happened to me, and it's a good way for me to describe, you know, why that might not be enough. So I'll go ahead and continue reading what I've got here. So I've calculated that I have approximately 8 years left before I pay off all my debt, except for the house. And this $1,000 is supposed to last me for all of the bad things that could happen in 8+ years. This is the reason I'm going to continue saving $50 a month into my emergency fund. In 8 years, if nothing goes wrong in the meantime, I could have saved $10,600. Yeah, in 8 years, $10,600. And that doesn't seem like very much money for 8 years, but I'm sorry, that would be for $100 a month. So I think I said I was going to do 50, so I would have like $5,300 in 8 years. This is a little old when I wrote this, but the point is that you would have a more substantial emergency fund, and you'd be kind of working your way into baby step number 3, which will be in the next video. But you would have saved more than $1,000 basically, if granted that, you know, nothing serious goes wrong in that time, plus you could have paid off your debt, or I could have paid off my debt in that time. So that's why I'm going to continue to do $50 a month. And I don't think it'll take me very long to pay off my car. It's only $6,000, especially if we get this second stimulus. Hopefully I'll be able to pay it off fairly quickly, and I can go back to saving even more in my emergency fund, because I do think it's important. You know, I think a lot of people get blindsided, and that's how they get in debt in the first place. Or in my case, I went to school and that's how I got in debt. But I feel like people get blindsided by emergencies all the time, and they end up paying for that mistake or accident or whatever for a long time. And it's kind of silly when you could have just been saving the money. If you can scrape it up, if you can cut back on groceries or eating out or whatever it is, it's kind of silly to just put yourself in a situation where you don't have any extra money set aside for things that could happen. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you like this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell your friends if you think that this video might help them. And I will see you in the next video.